Hi everybody, welcome to part 2 of my TBR tour. I previously recorded part 2, but I didn't do an intro because it was part of part 1 when I thought there were only going to be 2 videos instead of 3. So I'll be wearing a different outfit for the rest of the video. But I didn't have an intro, so here it is. On to green. So we have this, which looks really cool, from Book of the Month. I really like the cover and the story sounded really kind of interesting. I just got this one because I got Born, which you'll see later, and it looked really cool. And then I read about this series, which is apparently really creepy and weird, so I'm excited about that. Plus the cover is awesome. I just really like it. This is on the short list because Stephen King. I got this at BookCon. It's a self-published author, and this cover is beautiful. I ended up basically getting all of her books. They all sounded really interesting, and all the covers were really pretty. So yeah, it's nice to support authors who are publishing on their own. So I supported the crap out of this girl. I'm really excited to read them. Really pretty in the meantime. Okay. I have for a long time really loved the title of this book. It's All the Birds Singing. Really, there should be no surprise. I love anything that has to do with birds. Like on the covers or in the titles, it's going to be very hard to not pick it up, at least. But I was kind of on the fence the first time I saw it, which when I was in Dublin. So I was much more picky about what books I was buying because I had to take them a lot further to get them home. So I didn't get it then, but I just kind of keep coming back to this book, so eventually I will read it. The next is Extraordinary. I feel like this is the second in the series, the Impossible series, which I read a long time ago, Impossible, and I really liked it. This is way before I found Bookstagram. So I never see anyone post about this, but I really liked the first book, so I'm kind of interested to see what happens next. I even remember the plot. And if it's a good book, I remember the plot. The Unwanteds. I've been savoring this because I love this series so much, and this is the last one. Or so I thought. She actually has started a new series that piggybacks off of this one. So I don't have to wait anymore, but because I've put it off for so long, it's kind of been hiding. But I just don't want this one to end, so I haven't read it yet. It's the 7th in the series. I really love this series. Okay, this is going on my short. I need to get back in that world. Okay, this was one that I got in an uppercase box. One of the reasons I stopped getting uppercase boxes is because a lot of the books that were like contemporary stuff that I just really wasn't into. So it didn't feel like it was worth it to me, even with the cool extra stuff. This is one that seemed like it might be interesting, but not something I'm necessarily into. I don't know. But I'll give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe I'll love it. I read a Brian Faulkner novel like years and years ago, and it was really cool, and it stuck with me. And this one, oh yeah, The Tomorrow Code. And this one came out a bit later, and I mean, look how shiny and fun that is. And so I had to get it, and then I never read it. Doesn't mean I won't. It just, piled up, and other things caught my attention before that one, which is pretty much the moral of this entire story, is that this at one point caught my attention, but then something else did. I'm basically like a toddler. Yeah. The Trip to Echo Springs on Writers and Drinking. This is a gift from a friend, and I haven't read it yet because I suck. But it sounded kind of cool because it's about writers, and writer books are always fun. And then this one I got one day at Books A Million. It sounded really cool. I feel like there's a whole series of these, and anyone I've seen talk about these really likes them. So I think this is going to end up being really good. I think this has like Wonderland themes to it. So now that I've actually read Alice in Wonderland, this would finally be a good time for me to read this. Oh, I shouldn't count this, but I'm going to. well, actually I should count it because I have never read The Wizard of Oz. But I have a bunch of different versions, and this is especially beautiful. This is from Rock Paper Books, and I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily put this in my TBR. I don't know why it's on here. Only because when it comes to classics, I don't stick them in my TBR pile. I don't think that makes any sense, but that's just how I roll. I just stick the classics in there, and I know I haven't read those, but they still look pretty. I got this one forever ago after my friend Jeannie read it, and she said she loved it and it was awesome, and so I picked it up and I meant to read it, and then other books piled on top of it and I forgot. But I've heard this is really, really good. This cover looks awesome. It's set in New Orleans. It's kind of dystopian, obviously, and I could have sworn that I had seen this cover design in a different book somewhere, and that I owned. And then I put them side by side, and they were actually pretty close, but they weren't the same. So that was kind of one of the reasons I got it, but it actually sounded really cool. I got this in a book box. I don't remember which one. I really like the cover. It sounds really cool, and the typography is excellent. Very well done. I got this forever ago. I think this was one of those, like, I found it in like a, not a used bookstore, but it was like on the cheap side of things, and I got it because, look, there's birds. And obviously it sounded interesting. Like, I don't just buy covers because they have birds in them, but I'm very much more likely to be cool with what's on the back and be like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting enough to own this cover. That was one of those. I got this because I figured it was probably gonna be awesome and that I would want it once I finally read the series. I still haven't read the series, so I haven't read this yet. But it doesn't matter because it's beautiful. Look at it. I actually also got this at Sam's, so it was really cheap. Oh, this cover is really pretty. And it's middle grade, so I pretty much know I'm gonna like it. Like, I don't think I've ever read a middle grade book that I didn't enjoy. Like, none. I just love middle grade books. So I know I'm gonna love this. I just have to have time to read it. Okay, another thing, golf. Nobody ever writes about golf, so this is really exciting. I used to be a golfer. Can you believe it? And so it's really nice to see, like, a novel that has at least something to do with it, because it says waiting for Augusta, and Augusta, hello, better be talking about golf, since it does actually have, like, a golf course in the thing. Yeah, I'm excited to read this one eventually. This cover is so pretty, and this title is lovely, and the combination of those two means that whatever this thing inside said, all it really had to say was, it's a pretty decent book, you should read it, and I was gonna get it. But it actually sounded really cool too, so I might have to put this on my short list. It's just so cool. I really like this cover. Okay, I got this one, and after reading the first one, and then my sister, who I generally trust with her feelings about books, said that she was not thrilled with this one, even though she read them actually before I could get to them. And so, no, the second one even. She read the second one. This is the third one. And so I haven't read this. I bought it really excited about it, and then, you know, reviews. But I might like it. I think I'm easier to please than she is, so. I got this because I've never read it, and this edition looked really, really cool. And I felt like, you know, I should probably at some point read this book. And I really do plan to. Like, at some point. Although now I've seen there's an even cooler cover, so that's what I get. But this is nice and I like it. I really want to read that. I feel like all those, like, classic... There's dirt on it. I feel like all the classic books I should already have read, and then I fight with my feelings of should I read like the older books first and then come back to the newer books, or just say screw it and get to it when I can. It's very difficult decisions. I got this one years and years ago, which happens a lot, and it just sounded really interesting, and I never see it anywhere. It's a strange size book compared to pretty much everything else. Usually everything is cut like about here. So there's like this much extra book that isn't the normal size. So it's a little different, which has nothing to do with the book at all. But it just sounds really interesting. It always sounded interesting to me, but I guess never interesting enough for me to read past this point. Like it's not like ever hit the top of my TBR pile. But one day I'll get to it. I mean, it is middle grade. I'm gonna love it. Okay, so that was the just straight up green pile. I'm gonna scoot these forward so you can see me better. So now we're getting into like it shifts from green to blue, but it's kind of all up in the middle of it right now. I just got this in a glom box, and this cover is so pretty. And I have to say that because right behind on this thing it says, "In the spirit of Station 11 and Never Let Me Go." Now I haven't read Station 11, but I have read Never Let Me Go, and I loved that book. I loved it. So if this kind of follows that pattern, at least in just like storytelling and what it's about, I have a feeling that this is gonna make me cry and be amazing. So I'm really excited about it. Plus it's beautiful. I mean, look at it. It's so pretty. Okay. I just got this like the other day. I pulled it open to a page and started reading, and it was hilarious. So I said, you know what, let's try this. I went with this one instead of the other ones because I actually read the story, so I'll be able to tell like how different it is. I mean, the whole story is actually in there. So I'll get to see just the changes and all the different things. And okay, so I got this one in a glom box, and I actually own the first book. I guess I don't think it's a series, but I own the first book, and I haven't read it. But you will see this author pop up again when I get to the white books. But I definitely probably won't read this before it actually comes out as a real not ARC book. So, whoops. I recently got this in an Owl Crate box, and it sounds really cool, and it looks really cool. I really like the cover. But yeah, I haven't read it yet, clearly, or it wouldn't be in my TBR pile. Okay. I think a friend gave me this one a long time ago. This cover annoys me. This cover really annoys me. Like, I just want to take it off. But I think the story sounded interesting. But I never want to put this cover anywhere. Like, I always end up putting it, like, hiding it on a certain part of my shelves so I don't have to look at it. Like, it just doesn't work for me at all. I've heard really, really good things about this one, and so I picked it up, and the pile just grew before I got to it. This is on my short list. It has been on my the sad thing is this is on my short list and has been on my short list for years, like 2 years, and I still haven't read it. I just saw my sister's father-in-law reading this, and it made me really anxious to actually read it. So I think it's finally time for this to go on the short list again. This one turns out I did the same thing that I did earlier with another book. I bought it because I thought it was beautiful. It was really cheap. I got it in and then posted about it, and somebody said, oh yeah, it's the second book. And I had no idea. I feel like they should write that somewhere, like more specifically, like just put a 2 on the spine or something. Let me know, because I missed it. Still, it's really pretty, so. Liesl & Poe has been on my TBR forever, and every time I see this book, I think, oh, I need to read this sooner. It sounds really good. Again, middle grade, so it's gonna be awesome. Another Neil Gaiman I still haven't read. I read one of his other short stories. I love his short stories. He and Stephen King are pretty awesome at short stories, I'm not gonna lie. So I've been kind of savoring these. I did read the other one, but I haven't read this one. And I will say that these kind of spines annoy me to no end because it's very hard to categorize this. Like, it bounces back and forth between these two colors because I can never decide which one I think it should be in. Right now, apparently, it actually kind of works out. I kind of stick it right between the two, but it still sticks out. So don't do that anymore, publishers. I got this one in my very first LitJoy crate forever ago. It's really pretty. It sounds like there's some romance in it, so that's probably why I haven't read it yet, because I tend to kind of just not care. This one sounded kind of fun. I got it at Sam's. It was like really cheap. Cheap enough and interesting enough, and I'll usually buy it, but I don't tend to get to them right away. But apparently there's a bunch of them now, so maybe I should read it sooner than later. And here, this needs to be on my short list because it's time. It's time I finally finish this series. I've been putting it off and putting it off again because I don't think I'm ready to leave this world, but I think it's time. Short list it is. Okay, the first one is The Drowned Cities, and I read the original one and loved it, and so it was Shipbreaker, and I'm really excited, or I was really excited to see this one out, and then it got on the pile, something else got on the pile, before I knew it, it was buried just like everything else. This cover is one of the few that Faces actually worked in its favor. The colors are really, really pretty, and I really like the title. And it pulled me in, and it's not something I would normally read, but it sounded really good. It is a thriller, so I guess it would be something I normally read. And anything that has to do with like kind of missing kids just gets me a little edgy. And so, I don't know, it just kind of pulled me in on a bunch of different levels. So actually I'm excited to read this one eventually. Another selection series one. Again, we all know why I did that. Research. I would never normally pick up those books, like, ever. But she does have red hair, so that kind of makes me want to. The Vicious Deep. This just looked really cool. I don't even remember where I got this. Probably Book Outlet. But I take all the stickers off, so I can't tell. Again, the birds on books thing, but this is birds combined with a funny title. This is My Brain on Boys. I think this is gonna be funny. It's like a romantic comedy type of thing. YA. Maybe not necessarily my normal type of thing, but still, this looks funny. Okay. This book looks awesome. It is middle grade, so I know it'll probably be awesome. And I just love the cover, and I love the lettering. And so the combination of it being middle grade and pretty to look at and kind of interesting guarantees me to get it. The Land of Stories. I really like the idea of anything that has to kind of do with like going into stories. So this was definitely one I wanted to read. There are like a ton of these out now. I bought this a while back. I don't think it's a first edition or anything, but I'm definitely behind. Oh no, nope, just kidding, it is. Yeah, so yeah, first edition. Whoops. This happens a lot. I have a lot of first editions, but then I don't have the rest of the series because I haven't read these and I don't know if I should buy them. Very few books will I actually buy like ahead of time without reading them, like multiples. There are some and you will see them, but they all tend to be in the black books. I don't know why. But yeah, I should probably get on that because I think they're probably going to be amazing. The next one I got from a box, but not a book box. I just got a box of like book mail from a publisher, and this looks pretty cool. It definitely has like the little comment things from other authors, and it's one that I love the author of, so I feel like I could trust what he's saying. But I have not I've not read it. I mean, it was given to me, so I don't feel like, oh, I've spent this money on it, I should read it. This book is probably the only one that I have that says James Patterson on it. I don't know why I have this aversion to James Patterson books. Mainly, I think it's because for a while there, like, he just had ghostwriters, and I was like, I can't trust that it's actually you writing it. Like, why wouldn't somebody just put their name on the book? Or like that he was like, I want all the glory. I mean, I get it. They could definitely get more sales out of somebody who has his name very well known, but it definitely actually works the other way for me. I would rather see an author I don't know and just a cool book than an author who just has a bunch of people write for him. I know he writes as well, but anyway, the point is, this is probably the only one I own, but it looks really cool. And creepy. And I actually can't believe I haven't read this yet. This may actually have to go in like my, ooh. Yeah, this looks creepy and awesome. This is actually gonna go in my short list. I've been reading so much Stephen King and it's just like right on par, so this is perfect. Oh, okay. I've had this forever too. And when I was younger, my husband and I lived in Montana for a summer. And it was right before we got married, actually. And I found this little bookstore, and they had like people had recommendations for their favorite book. And I read, it wasn't this one, it was where is it? The City of Dreaming books. And I loved it. It was so weird and so different. And I just really, really liked it. I had no idea he had written other things because I was an idiot and just didn't even think, hey, I could maybe Google it and see. So I didn't know until I got on Bookstagram that he had written a bunch of other stuff. And this was one that was recommended to me. So I got it and I haven't read it. And I always put it on my short list and I never get around to it, probably because it's so thick. And I love thick books. But these days I'm a little bit hesitant to start big books because I'm so busy and I read so slow that I tend to go for the shorter, littler ones first. Just because then I feel like I read more than one book a month. I mean, this book would probably take me 3-4 months to read. It's just the nature of my life right now. Someday when my child is a little older, you know, maybe that'll be a different story. But for now, it's definitely a book I want to read like very soon, but I know that I won't. But yeah, I love it and I really do want to read it. I mean, you know what I mean? But yeah, so it's definitely one that I'm glad that I own, and someday I will read it. Okay, the next one is The Peculiar Night of the Blue Heart. Really cool title. Middle grade book. Pretty cover. Very interesting. I definitely want to read this. Okay, I got this in BookCon. It was the same girl that I mentioned earlier in the green. This was another one of her books. Look how pretty this cover is. I mean, I just really, really like these covers. And supporting self-published authors is a good thing because you can find some really, really good stories. I mean, yes, you definitely run the risk of not the greatest editing or whatever, but that doesn't mean the stories aren't amazing. So I took a risk with this one, but I think I'm going to enjoy it. I'm impressed by the artwork and the story rundowns. Anyway, taking a chance is always a good thing. So I am definitely going to take a chance, especially when the art is good, because it's actually really hard to find self-published authors with good art, which is sad. I mean, that's basically the only thing that if you have really good artwork, I wouldn't be able to tell. So invest in artists. I mean, if you're not me, because I can't invest in artists because I am an artist, and my husband thinks, well, that's silly. You shouldn't waste your money. You could just waste your time. No, he didn't actually say waste my time. You shouldn't waste your money. I mean, after all, you can do what you're going to pay other people for. So that kind of sucks because I miss out on some really good art. But, you know, I am an artist, so. I just the other day was in the bookstore and thought I should get this book. And it's a good thing that I didn't because I already owned it. And I got it pretty cheap. I had just pulled off the, it was like 50% off. This is a really cool cover, and it actually reminds me of a cover of a self-published author that I follow on Instagram. Only hers is like red and like animal fur, but it has the same feeling about it, which is kind of cool. I want them both just to like set them next to each other. Here is the book that I got the other day. Ooh, this was my signed copy that I got from the Nocturnal Reader's Box. And I had just gone to the bookstore and gotten this with a bunch of other books. And so I had 2 copies. So I ended up giving one to my best friend. Maybe we'll read it as like a little buddy read. That would be fun. This cover is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Love it. I'm excited. I see this one everywhere, so I finally pulled the trigger on it. It sounds really good. It sounds like it's gonna be one that makes me cry. I read Hold Still. This is by Nina LaCour. I read Hold Still and loved it, so I have a feeling that I'm gonna love this one too. Okay, I got both of these in like a little publisher's box, and so I took pictures of them and I sent them, and they sound really good, and it's like a series, and there was another one probably in a different color that go along with it, and I really would like to read these, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So thanks to the publisher for these, one day I will read them, and then I'll be like, hey guys, do you remember back in the day when they had those published? Yeah, I finally got around to reading them, and they were great. Okay, I just got this one, and I loved the cover, and I loved the title, and so of course I had to get it. Also, I'm just gonna point this out. I just noticed this in the back. The ISBN barcode is surrounded by a coffin instead of just a regular square, which is really, really clever, because I read the inside the other day, and it's like this kid like climbs out of a grave, has, you know, there's something magical about it or whatever. Anyway, details like these really, really, really win for me. This is a great cover design. Well done. Love it. I definitely want to read that soon. I keep coming back to this one. This is going to be on my short list because I just love this cover and I love this title, and it sounds really interesting, and it's middle grade, so I feel like this is going to be like a major winner for me. It's really, really cool, isn't it? Look at it. I just like the artwork. Look how pretty it is. Okay, that happens a lot. I buy books a lot because I think they're pretty and I like their titles. I mean, the books have to be interesting enough for me to actually pull the trigger, because there's been a couple times where I'll be like, oh, I love everything about this, and I read like ooh, there's gonna be another one. Anyway, I read like the back cover copy, and it's just like, oh man, I wanted you to be decent enough that I could buy it, but you're not. So I do actually, you know, buy the book for the book, but a cool cover helps. Just saying. Okay, so this is such a pretty cover. I got this recently, and all I want to do is stare at it. It sounds pretty cool, actually. It's middle grade, so it's probably going to be pretty cool. So I'm really excited about this one. I probably want to keep this on my short stack only because I want to stare at it all the time. And I want to say that this design style of this cartoon actually looks like a girl's artwork that I follow on Instagram, but I don't think it's her, but it does remind me of her. So that's kind of one of those things that appeals to me. Like, oh, I think I know that artist. Then we have The House of Months and Years. Great title. Really neat little cover, and I want to read it basically because it sounds awesome and it's middle grade, and win for a cover and win for a title. I got this one in the book boyfriend box. It's pretty cool cover, pretty interesting sounding, but I actually hadn't heard of it until then, so eventually I'll get to it. I got this from Polyethnic Publishing. It's got like a scratch on the cover. It's a limited edition, but I'm not gonna lie, the cover that they actually ended up putting this out in was way more my style than this one, so I was kind of a little bummed that I didn't get that one instead, but it was free, so I didn't complain. I got this at BookCon. This is also a self-published author, and look at this cover. So cool, right? So there's also another one, and there'll be more, and he pretty much sold me, he pretty much sold me on the cover. I was like, please just tell me it's kind of interesting. But it's like adventures in the outback, and apparently there's a bunch of different Australian words in it to the point where, like, if once you've read them all, or read all the books, like, you've a working knowledge of the language. So I think that'll be really fun if I can read all these and then screw with my friend from Australia and start using like terminology that she uses and be like, I don't know, I just picked it up, but we'll see. If she watches this, then she'll know what I'm up to. The next one is on my short list. I am really excited about this book. It looks so cool, and I was so close to starting it the other day, and then I had to pare down what I was bringing on vacation with us, and so I didn't bring it because I had a bunch of other books I was reading, like I was in the process of reading, that I took instead. So this is definitely on my short list. I think it's beautiful. I think the title is awesome. The Girl Who Drank the Moon, and the story sounds really cool and very different, and it's middle grade, so it's gonna be awesome. This is a short list one. This too is a short list, and it's also, I say it's self-published, but I actually can't tell. I'm not sure. I really think it is though. But the box that this thing came in with all of the promo stuff, it was, look, I mean, this is probably the best formatting I've seen. I don't know. I don't know if this is self-published or not. It has the same feel as like my book, which is, and most of the other ones. So on that regard, I think that it is, but I can't tell. I'm stumped. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. This looks awesome, and this cover is beautiful, and I'm really, oh, I dropped it. And I'm really excited to read it. So this is also on my short list. Okay, I got this the other day simply because I had to have this. I love this book, and it's like one of those books that is like pivotal in childhood. You can guarantee you're gonna like sob over it. I don't know who wouldn't cry at this book. Maybe, you know, Satan. I'm just kidding. I mean, sort of. Anyway, I had to have this. This cover is beautiful, and I loved this book as a kid. So I now have 2 copies. I'm gonna give the other copy to my daughter so that when she gets older she can have it. And then this is gonna be Mommy's copy that we don't touch because it's pretty. So I don't know why it's in my TBR. I'm not gonna, like, I'll read it with her when she's older, but that's gonna be a while from now. Okay, so the next is Hello Universe. I got this in a Al Crate Jr. I think the first one was, yeah. It looks really fun, middle grade, so it's gonna be awesome. Like, basically just write your book in middle grade and I'll love it. Pretty simple. I just got this recently. I've seen it around on Bookstagram, and it sounded really cool. Definitely my kind of thing. So, Beyond the Bright Sea. This is middle grade again. Oh, it looks like it's by the same author from Wolf Hollow, which I was petting the cover of because it was so pretty. So another beautiful cover. I don't know if you can see this, but it looks like a feather. Very clever. Feathers, birds, that's gonna win you some points with me. So beautiful cover. I'm looking forward to this. Maybe I'll just do this author's books like back to back when I get around to it. The Star Thief I got in a Al Crate Jr. box. Again, middle grade, anything star related. It's pretty much gonna go well for you as well with me. Anything book related. Anything related to, there are words on the pages that I'm gonna like. I'm just kidding. I am a little bit more discerning than that. But for the most part, I don't know, honestly though, if I would have picked this up by itself. It's not my favorite cover. I can't decide why. I don't really know. it's cool in theory. And it's pretty art, but there's something, I don't know, there's something that didn't grab me about the cover of this. That doesn't mean anything. It could be an amazing book. We'll find out. I got this in 2 different boxes. I have this in another version somewhere. I believe this is the US version? Yeah. Yeah. I still have both because I can't decide which one to give to my best friend and which one to keep because I like both of the covers for different reasons. Yeah, we'll see. When I get around to the other one, maybe I'll decide on camera. I doubt it though. I haven't decided every time I've looked at these, and I look at these a lot. They're very cool looking. I've heard mixed reviews about it though, so who knows? Maybe I'll never read it. I'll just forever have 2 copies. Ugh, looks like this one was also on the bottom of a stack. It got beat to crap on the back. It's a book of the month one. It looks pretty interesting. I like all the hand lettering on the front. Book of the month is a little weird because you don't necessarily get the plot of the book. You just kind of get someone's opinion of the book and kind of, I mean, they kind of tell the plot, but it's not your standard, like, this is a synopsis. So I never know what I get when I get these. That's probably not a good thing. But I like taking chances. I like to be, you know, broad with what I read, so I don't read the same thing all the time because then I'll never know, oh, do you like this kind of book? I don't know, I've never read anything in it. Well, that's stupid. Who would do that? I mean, I know people do that, so I'm not calling you stupid if you do that, but seriously, don't be stupid. Just branch out. It's okay. You know, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, for example, I got this one from the author and I started reading it and it was pretty interesting, but then I just kind of like put it back on my TBR because I just wasn't into it at the time. I've heard good things about it. It's just not something I normally would read. So it's kind of one of those weird situations. But it's really pretty. So I don't mind having it on my shelf. I feel like that whole pile is about to fall. Hopefully it doesn't. I got this for free at Thriller Fest 10 years ago. Maybe not 10 years ago. But maybe 10 years ago. It's signed to someone else. Whoops. I guess somebody set this down and then I just snatched it off a table. Don't leave your books on a table in the middle of a book con type of situation. Like, it's gonna look free. Like, I am so sorry to this person. Her name is Chris for taking her book. Especially because it sounds okay, but it necessarily wouldn't be something I would read. Oh, I feel like an ass now. Whoops. Okay, I got this, pre-ordered it because I liked the first one, and then everybody was like, oh, it sucks, it's terrible, I saw the plot of the first one coming, and blah, 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 blah. I get plots and I understand them and I know that sometimes I can, but I never read a book like trying to know the plot ahead of time. Like, oh, I called that. Like, that's not fun for me. So I actively shut that part of my brain off when I read so that I can be surprised and that I can enjoy things even if they're so obvious for everybody else. Like, that's just not, I don't want to be a snob. I want to enjoy books. I just like the stories. That's what I want them for. So this got a little ruined for me. I was excited to read it, but now everybody's all snobby about it, so I don't know. I just haven't yet. I got this one from my friend Michelle, and it seemed like something she thought I would like, so it's definitely probably not from a section I would have read before, but I love when she picks out books for me, so I don't mind it, because they are always something different than I would normally get myself, and I very much trust her judgment on books, so I will eventually read that one. Like all these books. I never saw this movie, but I did like the cover, and I finally went ahead and got it. I haven't read it yet, obviously. Really cool cover. Got it for really cheap on Book Outlet. And for some reason I haven't ever read these, and there's a whole bunch of them. There's like 3 or 4. But they sounded really cool. And I was like, for whatever the cost was, $2, it's worth testing out. But I haven't read them yet. I don't know why. I got this. I also got this in, how long ago did I get this? I don't even know. Anyway, I got this and it looks awesome. R.L. Stine, who's awesome. And, I don't know, this cover just looks amazing. I think, yeah, this is vampire related. Pretty cover. I also got this at Thriller Fest like 10 years ago and I still haven't read it. It sounded cool at the time. It was always like 4th in the pile until there were, you know, 400 books, and then it was pretty low. I felt like I should at some point read this book, and I still do. And I've meant to start it a couple times, and I would really like to start it. Also, it has the word bird and it has birds on the cover, so this was probably the point where I was like, I want to buy this to actually read it. But it's been a while now and I still haven't read it. Again, it's one of those like classic books that I feel like, should I read it? Should I just keep putting it off? I don't know. I'm terrible. This was sent to me by the author a while back. I told her I'd probably not get to it anytime soon. I have started doing that. If you want to send me books, that's fine. But just know that I'll do posts about them, but I probably won't read them anytime soon. And as long as you're cool with that, I'm cool with that. Because I don't mind having the books on my shelf, but I'll be quiet about it. I got this one forever ago and it looked really cool and it sounded really cool. I just haven't read it yet, but I want to. Like, obviously I want to. All of these books I want to read them. I mean, most of these books I want to read them. Some I could probably do without, but I actually bought this because it sounded interesting and I wanted to read it, and it still does. So this was the book, the one that looked like the Orleans book. You know what, I'm just gonna grab it right now. I bought this one thinking it looked like this one, or maybe the other way around, and you can see where maybe, like, I swear I've seen that cover before kind of thing happened to me, because it's got one word as the title. They're in red. They've got the same color scheme going on with the light in the center and the dark around. They've got things hanging and coming down from the top, and they've got a cityscape on the bottom. I mean, this is similar enough that I noticed these things, and so yeah. But this sounds really good. We'll see if they're even good. I'm sure they are. I mean, why else would the publishers get them, right? Somebody liked them. Okay. I've seen this whole series around, and I got this for like ever ago, and it sounds so up my alley. Most people like them. Where did I get this? Most people really like them, I think, although I've seen a couple people not like them, so I don't know where these stand. So I haven't read them, and I haven't like gone any further like to get the rest of the series. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna really like this. These covers are kind of badass. I mean, let's face it, they are. So we'll see. And then I got this one, and I know I have another copy somewhere. I think I was gonna do a giveaway because my friend Michelle ended up with 2, and so she gave me one to do a giveaway for it. But I really liked Ready Player One. I got this one and then kind of heard it wasn't as good, but I really need to stop listening to those people because it sounded good enough for me to get it. Isn't that all that counts? It should be. I got this from the publisher, and I actually ended up with 2 copies of this, and I gave one to my sister. After seeing Trolls like 4 billion times, I I really, really want to read this because I think I really enjoy it. I like her a lot. She's pretty funny. So I like this one. I'm excited about this one. It's a good title. It looks fun. Okay, of Fire and Stars. I got this in Lit Toy Crate, I think. Looks pretty interesting. I'm sure I'll love it if they picked it out. Honestly, we seem to have similar tastes, so that helps. I got this one in a Book of the Month box. Okay, Carve the Mark, Veronica Roth. I got this as soon as it was available because it was the author of Divergent, which I really liked those stories. The cover looked badass, and then all kinds of drama happened over this. And people were like, I'm gonna like not follow you if you even buy this book. And so I was like, that's not gonna stop me. I don't like, if you want to censor people that way, that's your prerogative, but I don't believe in that. Like, if you want to read a book, read a book. I don't, you know, find out for yourself if it's horrible. That's the point of reading, is to like form your own opinions and to learn from books and to be able to be smart enough to go, oh, hey, you know, this part wasn't cool because of this. Like, I don't like to judge a book and form opinions about it if I haven't read it. I am not a fan of 50 Shades of Grey. I am not a fan of Twilight. But I'll tell you what, I read all of those books. You know why? So that when I had an argument about them, I could say it for real. I dislike this because of this and this and this. The writing wasn't good for me. This wasn't good for me. This was really creepy. This was whatever. There were reasons, and I could say them. It's like the people who say, oh, you can't read Harry Potter because it's Satanism. No, it's not. Like, you have to read the books. Like, there was like a mom banning people from reading the books, but she never read them. So she had no basis over anything. It was just her own opinions. Like, oh, this is teaching you to be a witch. It's not. I've not changed my religion to become a Wiccan because I read Harry Potter. Like, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. Sorry. Anyway, it still looks like a really cool book. So I will find out for myself whether or not it actually is. Okay, I just recently got this. It's the author of Never Let Me Go. So not only is it really pretty, but it's by the author of a book that I really, really love. So this cover is gorgeous. I want to put this on my short stack. I really do. Okay, it is. It's going on the short stack. All right, the next one I got at Sam's. I buy a lot of books at Sam's, and it's so pretty. And the thing that went around it had like a thing, I almost kept it on, but then I finally didn't, because as cool as it was, it was like red orange, and I couldn't put this in color stacks, so I took it off. But it wasn't like a dust jacket. It was only a half jacket, which is really annoying. Design, you know, it's cool for when you buy it and then that's it. Anyway, it's like all set in and it's really pretty. So, and I kind of have a thing for pirates, especially what? I did not know this, but this is written by the same guy who wrote Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. Well, now I really want to read it because it's probably going to be awesome. I didn't even connect the name. I just bought it because it looked cool. And pirates, you know, because the black sails have been written. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so this is going on my short stack because, yeah. The things you learn. Okay, this is from the Warm Bodies, it's not a series, well, I guess it's a series, world. There we go. This is from the Warm Bodies world, and this cover is beautiful, and it's between Warm Bodies and the Burning World. I think this is when this one is set. This is a gorgeous cover, not gonna lie. gorgeous. I love it. It's kind of creepy, kind of desolate, but mostly beautiful. So I do have this one too. I was just talking about the other one, but I have this thing where like I have 2 of the hardbacks of the 3, so I have to just go ahead and finish it, like finish owning it. Just in case I love it and then want the first editions, because I also love first editions like a lot. So yeah, I will finish the series just to spite everyone who apparently doesn't like it. Yeah. And hopefully it'll be good. It'll be good enough for me. It probably will be anyway. Okay, I recently just like watched I say recently, it was last year, watched all of the Star Wars all the way up again, like refreshed, and went to go see Rogue One, and that basically set me in stone for loving Star Wars. That movie was so good, and so I kind of definitely had to get the book too. I think it's my favorite so far in all of the movies. I mean, the graphics are way better, but just like the fact that it kind of stands alone, but the story was so good, and I don't know, it was just kind of badass, and I liked it, and I cried just so many tears, so I needed to own the book. Okay, 10 guesses as to why I needed this book. You won't need 10 guesses. Birds. There are so many birds. That's your answer. It's birds. And the title even has it in there. But on top of that, it actually sounded really cool. A tale of science and magic, life and love, and the beginning of our future. Sold. That's all it took. I had this on my short stack for a while, and then it kind of got moved down. It'll fluctuate. It just kind of depends on what I'm in the mood for. Okay, this one I got from a publisher. It's really, really pretty. I haven't read it, but it's beautiful, and it's definitely out already. But I did take a picture of it before it came out. I just can never ever guarantee you that I'm gonna read it before it comes out. Sorry. This one my friend gave to me. Sounds kind of interesting. Definitely not a cover I would have picked myself, to be honest with you. But since I trust the person that gave it to me, I'll probably read it. Okay, I've read the first one of these, and I didn't realize I got the second. I think I got this on Book Outlet. Yeah, so I was just gonna finish the series, but the first one I have is in hardback, and so this is in paperback. So then I have to decide, do I want paperback or hardback for the third book? It's very confusing and I don't know what to do, so I've done nothing and haven't read it yet. Okay, I got this one a long time ago, and the reason was that it kind of a little bit sounded like my book, and so I was nervous about it. And then, so anytime that happens, I'll buy the book and want to read it to see, like, was it too close? Is it not going to work out? I haven't read it yet. I decided once I got it home that it didn't sound enough like it to be troublesome, so I didn't put it on like the fast track. But it still sounds awesome because it clearly sounds enough like my own book that I would be into it. And it's middle grade, so it's probably awesome. I've wanted to read this book for so long. I love the title. I love the book cover. I just think it's really pretty. I should probably be putting all of these closer since the lighting sucks. Dead Weather and Sunrise. I don't know. Something about it just sounds awesome. Again, I was really excited about this one because it's Patrick Ness. I thought it would be amazing, and then people said it wasn't good or it was disappointing. I'm like, really? Can you just not tell me that ever? Am I gonna have to unfollow everyone who like complains about books? I got this one in a book box. Yeah, the lighting's starting to be a problem. It looks really kind of creepy and awesome, but I never got around to it. I've heard that this is like gonna make me cry. So when I'm in the mood for crying, I'm gonna pick this one up for sure. And I really liked this cover. I had to have this cover. So I went to Book Depository and got that one because I didn't like the other one because I'm a book snob. I mean, a cover snob. It happens. And then I got these, but I think there's some really cooler covers now, but it might be a different story I'm thinking of. No, I don't think it is. I got these covers, now I kind of want the other ones. But the stories sound really cool. And I did like these covers. I'm gonna have to look into them more and see. I got this. It has a feather on it and it's pretty. Really, really pretty. I like the lettering. I think that's lettering. The title sounded cool, but I haven't read it yet, obviously. I got this in a book box. Haven't read it yet because I don't know that I was really all that into it to begin with. But like it sounded pretty cool. But I didn't pick it out. So sometimes that's the risk with book boxes. And then I had read the Clockwork series by Cassandra Clare and I loved it. So then I got this one and I'm so lost by all the different series or what, I just haven't read this yet. I know it's book 1, but I don't know if I needed to read something else before this. I've heard that maybe I should, I think. But I don't know. I'm so confused about that world. So I have this book. It's the first edition. I'm probably like pretty sure. Oh, it was one of those special ones that had that in it. So yeah, definitely first edition. And I don't know. I'm confused. Somebody help me. Like, do I just dive in, or is there more I need to know? Help. That was the blue section. Yay! So that was the end of the TBR tour. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day and thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more and like this if you found it somewhat interesting. Bye!